Shalom. The joke is often told that the Jewish people got stuck in the desert for 40 years because they didn't have ways. With the helpful direction and Israeli guidance app, Moshe could have led the Jewish people from Egypt to the sea, to Sinai, to the land of Israel in less than 2 weeks. This week's Sedra discusses the journey of Bnei Israel. The true reason Bnei Israel were in the desert for so long was because of their lack of trust in God. When the spies told the Jewish people that they'd be hard-pressed to conquer the land of Canaan, the people believed them. Incredibly, in the face of God's promise, the people believed the spies' slanderous report. What should have been a quick trip with few layovers turned into a journey of over 40 stops. What is less known and only evident from a careful reading of the Sedra is that the Jews spent most of their time in only one spot. The Jews spent very little time traveling. Most of their time was spent camped out waiting to die so that the next generation could conquer Eretz Yisrael. The first journey was the one out of Egypt. As Hashem said, they journeyed from Ramses on the 15th day of the first month, on the day following the Pesach offering. The children of Israel left triumphantly before the eyes of all the Egyptians. Hashem then alludes to the plague of the firstborn and explained where the Egyptians were while the Jewish people left triumphantly. And the Pasuk says, "And the Egyptians were busy burying the dead because God had struck down their firstborn." In his commentary on this verse, and pay attention to this, Rashi stated something almost obvious. In explaining the phrase that described the Egyptians burying the dead, Rashi wrote that the Egyptians were busy with their mourning. What was Rashi teaching with this statement? Wasn't it obvious that the Egyptians were mourning if they were burying their dead? What was Rashi's point in this comment? In Perkei Avos we learned the lesson taught by Rabbi Shimon the son of Elazar. Do not console your friend while his dead lies before him, before he's buried him. In his Mishnah Torah, the Rambam wrote, if a Torah scholar sees his words will be effective and will be given attention, he should speak. If not, he should keep silence. For instance, he should not comfort a man while his dead is lying before him, because the mourner is unsettled until he has buried his dead. The halacha has such recognition of the mourner's inability to focus on anything but his loss, that a mourner is exempt from biblical obligation of reciting Shema until he has buried his dead, because his attention is distracted from reciting the Shema, exempt from a biblical obligation. When a person suffers a loss such as the mourning, the shock doesn't allow the mourner to focus on other obligations, no matter how imperative, until they've achieved closure, usually reached at burial. Rashi added to Hashem's statement that the Egyptians were burying their dead by stating that they were burdened by their mourning. Due to the Egyptians' mourning, they didn't pay attention to the Jews' exodus, and the Jews didn't sneak out, but rather left triumphantly before the eyes of all the Egyptians. An interesting point on this week's Sedra. Shabbat Shalom.